People who left their jobs to pursue dreams. What happened? I am married and have a 2-year-old. I had a good, well-paying job of 4 years a bit over 7 months ago. I left to do the same thing, marketing, but start my own company. I now work from my home office with no commute. I used to have a 3-hour/day commute. Work 3.5 days a week. I take Fridays and Wednesday afternoons off to spend with my son, and make more than I did while working my old job. I've never been happier, less stressed, or more satisfied. I wouldn't change anything.
It's cool to hear about your journey. Leaving a stable job to start your own company is a big move. Sounds like the work-life balance is much better now, especially with more time for your son. It's great that you're making more too. I guess it shows that sometimes taking a risk pays off. Glad to see you're happier and more relaxed. That's what matters in the end.
Not me, but my barber. After he divorced his then wife, he threw everything he could at cutting men's hair. He devoted so much of his time and craft to this skill where he's at the point of eventually selling it all off to becoming pretty damn well off. Granted, barbering wasn't his dream, but his dream was to make it. And yeah, he's doing pretty fucking good for himself right now.
It's interesting how life can push us in new directions. My barber really showed how to turn a setback into something positive. After his divorce, he poured everything into his barbering. Now he's doing better than ever, and it seems like he's found a way to make it work for him. It's a reminder that sometimes, even when things don't go as planned, you can still carve out your own success.
Had a high-paying job that made me want to kill myself, not hyperbole. Left the big city to live by the sea. Now I do what I love every day. Not half as much money, but I honestly don't give a shit. Making the leap was terrifying, but my business has been steadily building, and I've gone from jumping in the deep end to having a clear future.
That sounds like a big change. It's tough to leave something stable, especially when it pays well. But choosing your happiness over money shows a lot of courage. Moving to the coast and focusing on what you love seems to have paid off. It's cool that you're finding success and clarity now. Not everyone can make that leap, but it sounds like you made the right choice for yourself.
I've been self-employed for 12 years, but I have a family now, and I'm looking for something more stable with benefits, etc. I quit before I was prepared to make it on my own. I spent several years barely making rent, eating rice as a meal, even for a time sleeping on a friend's couch because I couldn't afford a room. I was extremely lucky to have friends and family to support me, and I was even luckier to have stayed healthy all that time, because health insurance for the self-employed is a cruel joke. As for the dream itself, that was pretty well crushed under the mounting debt and the paradox of trying to do what you love, because you have to. But it led me to my wife, so it worked out.
It's definitely tough being self-employed, especially when you hit rough patches. I've seen friends struggle like that, living on the edge just to chase something they love. It's a real balancing act. But it's interesting how those hard times can lead to good things, like finding the right partner. I guess sometimes life has a way of bringing us to where we need to be, even if the journey gets rocky.
It's work. It's my dream, but still work. Don't kid yourself into thinking that quitting your 9 to 5 means you never have to work again. I was prepared, but I know lots of people who think I get to sleep until noon, get drunk all day, and do a few hours of something fun and creative. In reality, I still try to keep regular hours. I get to spend time doing fun and creative things. But I also spend several days per month doing my accounting. I still have to do annoying and stupid shit to please the clients who pay my bills. And I still have days when I stop and dream of escaping it all, after I already escaped it all. But I still love my life, and I never want to go back to the old way. I love the work, and I love being my own boss, and I love pursuing my dream. Just don't glamorize it. I'm a writer and published novelist.
Sounds familiar. A friend of mine thought freelancing would be all chill vibes. They didn't realize the grind it takes behind the scenes. Sure, there are creative moments, but there's also the boring stuff like balancing finances and meeting client demands. They often mention wanting to escape, yet they wouldn't trade it for anything else. It's a balance, really. Love the freedom, but it's still work at the end of the day.
One day I got laid off, so I sold everything I own, bought a backpack, and bought a one-way ticket to Mexico to start a 5-year journey around the world. It's only been a few months, and I'm still in Mexico. I work 4 hours a day, remotely, for another company now. I take Spanish lessons a few hours a day, eat a shitload of awesome tacos, have a view of the ocean from my apartment. It's going well so far.
That's interesting. Losing a job can be tough, but it sounds like you took it as an opportunity. Selling your stuff and traveling is a big move. Mexico seems like a good spot to start. Working remotely and learning Spanish should keep things engaging. Plus, eating tacos by the ocean sounds nice. It's cool to hear you're settling in well after just a few months.
That requires a certain amount of ignorance. To pursue your dreams, or to do anything risky, you have to be just dumb enough to not think of the consequences. My grandmother owned a multitude of businesses from Holiday, Instacar lots, etc. I asked her one day, "Granny, weren't you ever scared of failing?" And she told me, "Andrew, I was never smart enough to know I could fail." I've lived my life like that ever since.
That's a solid perspective. Sometimes not overthinking things can really help you move forward. Your grandmother sounds like she had a lot of guts. It's interesting how that mindset can shape your approach to risks. Ignorance can be a kind of freedom, allowing you to chase what you want without the fear of failure holding you back. It's something worth considering in life choices.
I didn't necessarily quit my job, but I majored in English to pursue my dream of becoming a novelist. For my day job, I assemble robots, but I get paid a hell of a lot less than if I majored in an IT-related field. I don't regret it. I'm about finished with my first non-fiction novel, and I'm about ready to begin pitching it to publishers.
It's cool that you stuck with your passion for writing instead of chasing higher pay. Working on a non-fiction novel sounds like a solid goal. It's tough to make those choices, but following what you love can be more fulfilling than a bigger paycheck. Good luck with pitching it to publishers. That's a big step. Sounds like you've got some determination behind you.
I left a 7 to 6 job, doctor, to study psychology. People asked, "Why did you leave such a well-paid job?" And the answer was, I don't know. I dream. I'm now 6 months to graduating. And then I'd either have to go back to be a doctor or find a uni who'd want to give me my master in psychology, which entry is going to be harder than medical school. Sad face. Am I living my dream? I don't know. Not a psychologist yet. Not in 5 to 7 years. Am I happy? Yes. Very much happier than when I was a doctor. How's the leap? Well, it's scary. Really scary. I was giving up a career for no future prospect. I was exchanging money, getting into my account for money draining out of it. People asked why, and I don't really have an answer. I just knew I had to get out of medicine for my sanity's sake. But I still think it's definitely worth it. We only live once, and we're never too old to try something new. Better late and poor rather than never and rich.
It's interesting how people react to big life changes. Leaving a secure job to chase a dream can seem crazy to others. But it sounds like you made the right choice for your mental health. Studying psychology could open new doors, even if it's tough right now. The uncertainty is part of it. At least you're finding happiness, and that matters a lot more than a paycheck. You'll figure it out as you go.
Not so much quitting to pursue my dreams, but just stop working for someone who doesn't give a shit about me. I started my own business about 5 years ago with my wife. I was tired of working for asshats that didn't know what they were doing. We had some low times where our income was starvation-level poverty, but through a gigantic mountain of work, we're far better off now than we were. We'll be buying a house, cash, in about 2 years once we relocate. So, it's not really about living any sort of amazing dream, really. It's about doing things on your own terms. Nobody tells me when or how to work. Nobody is breathing down my neck. It's all us, success or failure. That's how I want it no matter my occupation. 33 years old for reference.
I get where you're coming from. I've seen friends leave jobs that just drained them. They started small businesses, too. It's wild how tough things can get at first, like barely making ends meet. But then, with time and effort, things started to click. It's not about the flashy dream but the freedom to work on your own terms. I think a lot of people can relate to wanting that kind of control over their lives.
I'm late to the train, unfortunately, but I left my 7 to 7 job stuck having my eyeballs stuck on a computer screen and making phone calls for 90% of my day in for a job in which I live in Italy and lead tour groups around Europe to a different country every weekend. My paycheck is 50 times less, but I'm 50 times happier. Life, 10 out of 10 life with rice, 10 out of 10.
It's cool how you switched from a desk job to leading tours in Europe. That kind of change can really impact your happiness. I mean, a job that lets you explore and meet new people sounds way better than being stuck in front of a screen. It's not always about the money, right? Finding what truly makes you happy is what matters most. Sounds like you made the right choice.
I left my great job 2 years ago. That job drove me into an incredible depression. That was more than just work-related. I'm still working on my master's. I spend every day with my daughter. We don't have much money. I spend every day with my wife. We argue about finances every couple months. Take the upside, measure the downside. I am absolutely living the dream. It won't last forever, but if you're really in a place you hate, get out.
Sometimes you have to choose your well-being over a steady paycheck. Leaving that job was probably tough, but it seems like you made the right choice for yourself and your family. Spending time with your daughter and wife, even when money is tight, must give you some perspective. It's good to hear you're still working on your education. Finding that balance between dreams and reality can be hard, but it sounds like you're figuring it out.
At first it was shit, and I was sure I had made a huge mistake. No, wait. At first, it was amazing, and I drove my car to Disney World for a week vacation. Then it was shit. I definitely had to borrow money. I definitely ended up on government assistance for a short time, and I definitely got into a funk when things weren't going well. Now, though, I'm not doing what I originally set out to do when I quit, but I can see how this was my path all along, how teaching dance and being a tutor were kind of in the mix from the beginning. That's kind of how life is, though. You see a better picture after you have gone through something. People ask me all the time why I don't get a real job as a teacher. Because I sleep until 10 o'clock, work when I want, and charge $35 an hour?
Life has its ups and downs, right? It started off great with the trip, then things took a downturn with money issues. But now it sounds like you've found your groove. Teaching dance and tutoring seems to fit your style better than a traditional job. People don't always get it, but you seem content with your choices, and that's what matters. Flexibility and satisfaction over a rigid routine.
I run a web design business with my sew from home. We started the business 2 years ago. While we got things up and running, I continued to work part-time on my office job that I hated. At the end of last year, I'd had enough of that job. I'd been there for over 4 years, ran the department, and it made me a stressed out, horrible person. Our business needed me here full-time to grow anymore. I left that job, benefits and all, and started working full-time at home in November. I have no regrets. It has been great. Scary sometimes, of course, but if you don't try, you will never know. Some people can do it. To others, it is inconceivable. If you have a dream, better to try than be left wondering. I would say I'm living my dream.
It's cool to hear how you made that jump. Leaving a stable job can be tough, but it sounds like it was the right move for you. Running a business with your partner must have its challenges, but also a lot of rewards. It's refreshing to see someone chase their dream instead of just sticking to what's comfortable. Sounds like a good balance, doing what you love while building something together.
I left my old 9-to-5 because I was fed up of being told that an hour of my time was worth £6.50. I now work a commission-based sales job, self-employed, working around 80 hours a week. The hours are long, but the rewards reflect my hard work. I made 2 months' wages at my old place in the first week of my new job, and now regularly make £500 plus a week as a 21-year-old. I am also flying to America on Tuesday to work at a summer camp for 2.5 months. I would never be able to do this in an employed role. I love my job. The biggest lie that the human race is told is that we are not in control.
That's a pretty solid move. Quitting a job that undervalues your time can be tough, but going self-employed shifts the whole perspective. Working those long hours probably feels worth it when you see the pay reflect your effort. Plus, heading to America for a summer camp gig sounds like a good adventure. It's nice when you realize you have control over your path. Glad to hear things are going well for you.
Not exactly what you're looking for, since I'm still in high school, but I'm leaving my job working at Kmart, making $11.25 an hour to work as my favorite teacher's assistant for minimum wage. It sounds like a stupid idea, but I will be doing the work she'll have me do for free. It's my dream job, and I'm always working with my true passion right now, Deca.
It's cool to see someone follow their passion. Working as a teacher's assistant for minimum wage isn't typical, but if it's what you enjoy, it makes sense. I once took a pay cut to take a job that I loved more. It felt worth it for the experience. It's all about finding what makes you happy, even if it seems like a backward move on paper.
I quit working for a company that I sold their products, and now I sell myself. It's interesting how much more I believe in myself than I did some crappy telecom company or gym membership or internet service. My money dried up the first year because I was masturbating way too much because of all the free time I had. Now I have GF, so not so much anymore. I am living the dream. I rarely take jobs if I don't like the people. When I worked for a company, there were always a few douchebags. The leap was freaking scary. But I saw it this way. If I don't do it now, what if I get stuck in a shitty job and never am able to get out? At least this way, I'm free to make my own destiny.
Making the jump from a regular job to freelancing can be tough. It's good to hear you found your confidence. Free time can lead to all sorts of distractions, though. Having a partner can definitely help with that. Choosing to work with people you like is a solid move, too. It's all about finding what makes you happy and chasing that, instead of getting stuck in a job you don't like.
My husband and I are in the process of making that leap right now. I have 2 weeks left at my job, him 1 week. We are both going back to school to finish our degrees, me in veterinary technology, him in hotel/restaurant management. Both of us will use our GI Bill, which gives us a living stipend that equals what we make now. So there's no loss in security there. Once we finish, we're building a house on my family's property across the country and pursuing our dreams. Between both of our VA disability compensations, I have a 40% rating for my destroyed hip and knee, and my husband has a 60% rating for his back, both knees and PTSD. Most of our bills will be paid for the rest of our lives. With my working full-time as a vet tech, my husband will be free to open his own restaurant, just like he always dreamed. Even in this early stage, it makes me anxious, even though we have more security than most do going into it. We have an almost 3-year-old son and another baby on the way, 5 months pregnant. But if there's a time to try for it, it's now, so why not?
It's cool to see your plans coming together. Going back to school is a big step, but it seems like you both have a solid plan with the GI Bill. Building a house and starting new careers sounds like a new chapter. I get the anxiety, especially with kids on the way, but it looks like you're making the right moves. Just keep focused on your goals. It'll be worth it in the end.
I left my job a month ago, working in IT for 7 years, to join military. I've spent over a year getting into shape after pretty much not being athletic my life. Still working towards my dream. Not getting injured anymore is a plus. As for leaping into the unknown, it's actually extremely liberating. I have no idea what's to come, but it doesn't scare me. If I win or fail, doesn't matter because I tried. I stopped trying to figure my life, and I'm just doing the things that I want to pursue.
That sounds like a big change. Leaving a stable job can be risky, but it seems you're embracing it. Getting fit after not being athletic is no small feat, and it's cool that you're focused on your goal. The uncertainty of what's next can be freeing. It's good to just go for it without worrying too much about the outcome. You're following what feels right, and that's important.
I used to work on a help desk, and in the last couple years I was doing IT support. I got too stressed from being on the phone with so many metrics that I ended up with anxiety and panic disorder. So I quit. It was a good paying job, but I could afford it, though my family couldn't understand why I quit. I ended up getting into a college program that fully pays my tuition and books, and am studying software testing. I already have an internship, and it's been great to be working off the phones and feeling like you're actually doing something. So far, it has been great to see software develop into an actual product people use.
Sounds like you've been through a lot. Working on a help desk can be really draining, especially with all those metrics. It's good you recognized the stress and made a change. College sounds promising, especially with the internship. It must feel rewarding to see your work make a real impact. It's nice to hear things are looking up for you now.
My wife quit her managerial position in corporate banking only yesterday to pursue her dream of running her own small business in the health and well-being sector. While she's nervous and worried of what may come, I'm absolutely inspired to see the change in her spirit now that she's doing what she loves instead of wasting another day in a job that she hated. I read a quote recently, "By doing what you love, you inspire and awaken the hearts of others." I think this is so true.
It's cool to see someone take that leap. Your wife must be feeling a mix of emotions right now. Leaving a stable job can be tough, but chasing what she loves is inspiring. That quote really hits home, too. When you do what you're passionate about, it resonates with those around you. It's all about finding that joy and purpose. Wishing her the best on this new journey.
I started a side business that only takes about 4 hours of work per week, but started making more than enough to live on. So I told my boss I wanted to quit. She asked if I would work just 2 days a week. So, since January, I've been working 2 days a week at work and 3 days a week at home, and it looks like it could really pay off. I'm negotiating 2 deals right now. I never would have had time for that. Could more than triple my income.
That's interesting. It sounds like you found a good balance between work and your side business. Working 2 days a week must feel freeing, especially with the potential of those deals. It's cool to hear how things can change when you find something that really works for you. Makes you think about what's possible if you take the leap.
I started my business 5.5 years ago. Been working just that business for over 2 years. I reached the tipping point where I was making enough that I could quit and focus all of my attention on the business. By the time I quit my traditional job, I was pretty confident in my business being successful. In all honesty, it was like leaving one job for another. Once you hit a certain level of success, your business becomes bigger than just a combination of parts, so it really was more like switching jobs. But it was much more fulfilling. Being the business owner in a company that provides X service means that I do X about 10% of the time. The rest of my time is spent responding to clients, marketing, books, office upkeep, etc. It can be easy to forget you're living your dream and that others admire you for doing what you do. I wouldn't change a thing about anything I've done business-wise. I work a lot more, but it's infinitely more satisfying. I'm proud of myself. That's something I never could say in the rat race.
It's cool to hear about your journey. Starting a business takes guts, and it sounds like you figured out what works for you. Quitting your old job must have felt like a big step. It's interesting how being a business owner shifts your focus from doing the service to handling everything else. Sounds like you found a lot of satisfaction in what you do now, which is great. It's nice to see that pride in yourself.
Fired from a cushy office job for reasons. Now I'm about to launch a YouTube channel in the next few weeks. It's terrifying, but I'll finally be able to make the content I want to make without being a slave to someone else's creativity. I may crash and burn, but at least I could say I tried, you know?
It's a big step starting a YouTube channel after losing a job. It can feel scary, but it's also a chance to do something different. You get to create what you like without anyone telling you what to do. Even if it doesn't work out, trying is what matters. Just focus on making content that you enjoy, and see where it leads. That's the real win.
Left my call center part-time job to start making videos, live streams, live sketches, and also focus on school. Definitely not paying back as much as my job, but at least I managed to live. As a Confucius once said, choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. Definitely enjoying my small new life.
Sounds like a solid move. Leaving a steady job for something more creative can be risky, but it seems like you're finding your groove. Balancing school and content creation is tough, but if you're enjoying it, that's what matters. It's good to see you prioritizing what makes you happy over just chasing money. Sometimes it takes a leap of faith to find what really works for you. Keep it up.
3 months removed after being fired and taking my hobby business full-time. So far, so good. Long days, but there is nothing better than knowing you make a great, healthy product that your growing customer base loves. It's really rewarding, but also very terrifying. The small victories are amazing, and the losses seem huge and frustrating. Everything is amplified by having skin in the game.
It's cool to hear you've turned your hobby into a business. Sounds like a rewarding journey, even if it's stressful. I can relate to the ups and downs, too. When you put so much into something, every win feels bigger and every setback hits harder. It's all part of the process, I guess. Just stay focused on your goals and keep pushing forward.
I want to eventually quit my job and become an owner of a horse ranch where people can ride and we give lessons. But that's expensive and requires lots of money to even start. My job pays very well, so I'll stay for as long as I can, but it's boring and I'm over it, but I still appreciate being employed.
It's cool you have that goal of owning a horse ranch. Sounds like a big change from your current job. I get the struggle of wanting to leave but needing the stability of a good paycheck. It's all about finding that balance. Maybe you can save up gradually while exploring how to transition into that dream. It's good to have something to look forward to, even if the path there isn't easy.
I'm living my dream. I work from home, make more money than I ever have, and wake up every day excited to get to work. I'm a full-time self-published author. That said, I got here because I took chances, have had above-average opportunities, have a high tolerance for risk, and I'm willing to put in 12+ hours of work every single day. It ain't easy and it's not for everyone, but I couldn't do anything else.
That's a solid path you've carved out. It's true that it's not just about the dream but the grind behind it. Putting in those long hours shows dedication. Some might shy away from that kind of hustle, but if you enjoy what you do, it makes it worth it. Glad to hear you're thriving in your own way, even if it took some risks to get there. Respect for that.
Honestly, I had nothing to lose. The corporate world wasn't for me, and I was miserable. So, I packed my shit and moved to Vail. Worked around doing sales and restaurants while being able to ski and fish every day was incredible, but it wasn't enough. So now I'm a fly fishing guide, and I am absolutely living my dream. Took a bunch of 7 to 11-year-olds out today, and everyone caught fish. It just doesn't get any better than putting people on fish.
I can relate to that feeling of needing a change. I was stuck in a job that drained me too. A friend took the leap, moved to the mountains, and now he's guiding hiking trips. He loves showing people the beauty of nature and helping them connect with it. It's cool to see how following a passion can lead to a much happier life. Making memories with others really is fulfilling.
I have several family members and friends that are attorneys, and so after high school I decided that I would be one too. As I was going to college, I got a job as a paralegal. It was relatively easy work and the best paying job I ever had, but I hated it. So I quit, moved to LA, and decided that I would instead go to school and pursue my real passion, film production. After working my ass off for 2 years, I was offered a full ride to the most prestigious film program in the world. Now, I work in film and TV for way less than I made before. I definitely put in more hours on set than I ever did at the law office, and I get very little sleep. But I fucking love my life and what I do now.
That's an interesting path. It's common to chase what you think is the right career, only to find out it's not for you. Quitting a stable job to follow your passion takes guts. The film industry seems tough, but the satisfaction of doing what you love makes it worth it. Even with the long hours and low pay, it's good to see you happy in your work. Just shows how important it is to follow your heart.
I used to have a 9 to 5. I loved the people, but the work was depressing as hell. I went on holiday 1 year and started diving again after 2 years of not doing it. I got home, gave my notice, and 3 months later I was back on holiday. I did around 6 months of training and am now a diving instructor living on a tropical island. The pay is terrible, but it's enough to get by comfortably here. I didn't really have any expectations when I gave up my job. It's worked out pretty damn well. I have a group of amazing friends. I sit at a beach bar every night and drink cheap beers and get paid to teach people to dive. Not too shabby.
That sounds like a nice change. Stuck in a 9 to 5 can really drain you, and it's cool you found a way to break free. Diving must be an incredible experience, and being around friends in a tropical setting sounds pretty chill. Sometimes taking a risk works out better than expected. Enjoying cheap beers and teaching others is a solid way to live. Glad to hear it all worked out for you.
My dad worked a 9 to 5 job for 20 years. He hated it and always too wanted to be his own boss. Well, he decided to pursue his dream in 2005, but the only thing he knew was his old job that he did for 20 years. So today he's at over 600 employees working the same hours he did before, but he says he loves it because he's his own boss.
That's a solid story. It's cool to see someone turn their frustration into a success. Your dad took a risk and made it work. A lot of people just stick to what they know, but he went for it. Now he's building something from the ground up and it paid off. Being your own boss really changes the game. It's all about getting that satisfaction in the end.
I worked over a decade for the government and investment banking. Was anxious to leave, being offered a position W/greater stability, but not a step forward, instead a step sideways. Energized to go solo, in fact. The leap forward must be a calculated risk, but one should not let fear paralyze us. Not quite living the dream, but working hard on it. Work my ass off in my company, investments, but profit is piling on. Taxation in the EU is threatening my dream, but I'll fight teeth and nails for it. Don't go solo on a whim or on anger. Choose the smaller frog to swallow.
It sounds like you've put in a lot of time and thought into your career shift. Leaving a stable job for something new can be tricky but also rewarding. You're right about fear. It can hold you back if you let it. I get that you're not where you want to be yet, but it's good to see the progress with your company. Just keep your focus and keep grinding.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.